Hysterical several times, she whips her arms out of a police officer's grasp as he tries to get her out of the courtroom.
He was my son! He was my
You failed to show.
So another 30 days yourself!
Next, we're in Traverse City, Michigan for a bond violation hearing. 44-year-old Shannon Hughey has pled guilty to the crime of attempted unlawful driving of an automobile, while a second similar charge from the same incident was dismissed. She was sentenced to 2 years probation with several conditions, including drug and alcohol testing. But after Hughey allegedly violated her probation, she was arrested again and then released on a personal bond. And when she failed to appear at her sentencing, she was arrested a third time. Today, she appears without an attorney before Judge Michael Stepka to discuss next steps in the case.
You were before the magistrate earlier this afternoon.
Yes.
You had the defense counsel with you. You told both of those people you wanted to waive the hearing, waive a lawyer, and plead guilty to bond violation. Is that right, ma'am?
Yeah, I guess whatever I need to do to get this done.
So we have to reset sentencing.
Why can't we do it today? Can't you sentence me right now?
Your lawyer isn't here, ma'am. So we can't sentence you.
Can I do not guilty, please? Can I have a bond, please?
So I think you should call Janet Mistley. She's your lawyer. We're going to reset your sentencing that you missed on March 16th.
I'm not going to call her. Just sentence me. Just get this over with. Sentence me. Like, this is not who I am, and I just want this done. I want to move on.
So what we're going to do is enter a not guilty plea on the bond violation. The bond violation will be set at the same time as sentencing. I think we might be able to give you the date now.
That will be April 12th at 10 a.m.
So I've got to sit in jail until April 12th? I'm sorry.
Well, yes.
Hang on,
because you failed.
I'm having a hard time hearing.
Yes, you failed. You failed to show.
So another 30 days yourself!
You failed to show.
So another 30 days yourself!
Hughey suddenly loses it and smashes the computer. Officers quickly entered the room and subdued the defendant.
I can touch you like naked. I cut myself. Wait, I cut myself.
It seems Hughey has cut her hands on her cuffs during the outburst.
I'm not fighting you.
Put your other arm behind your back.
I just want to be sentenced and want to be done with this. I'm so over you people. I'm bleeding.
Take a deep breath. Let's get her out of this room.
Watch your step.
After several minutes, the officers remove Hughey from the room and take her into custody. While she was not charged for the outburst, Hughey eventually pled guilty to violating her probation, and her bond was revoked. She was later sentenced to 180 days in jail, credit for time served.
Now I have to stay where I'm at. I feel like I'm trapped in this life.
And Ms. Ellison, I feel like you came here to waste my time.
This Karen is the greediest ex-wife in support court history. Words can't even begin to describe how baffled I am watching this. We've seen a fair share of entitled moms and insane people over on Divorce Court. One of my favorite shows, by the way, but today we're going to be witnessing what I think is the final boss when it comes to the entitled, greedy leech species that have stepped foot inside a courtroom. So, for a little quick context, this is an ex-wife who has been divorced for 2 years now and has received more than enough support following her divorce, as we're about to hear. But today she is back in the courtroom requesting even more money, which is a bit of a trend with these days, but it backfires pretty hard, as we're about to see.
You brought this case before the court. What's going on?
Well, I'm divorced from the person that didn't show up.
I see that.
Yes, and I'm here to ask the court for more spousal support. I went part-time on my job. I'm no longer working full-time. I've lost money, and the man's done nothing but cause me trouble since we've been divorced. He does all kinds of crazy stuff. And I deserve more money with all this harassment. Plus, I want a restraining order against him. This has to stop. My nerves are on edge. Can't take much more of it. But I think $100 a week extra for spousal support would be fair with all the, the headaches he's given me and everything like that.
You think it'll be fair?
Yes, I've left him alone. I don't go around him. It's him doing the harassing.
Okay. How long ago did you all get divorced?
It's been almost 2 years now.
Okay.
He just won't let go.
What is he doing to harass you?
Like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, drives around the house blowing his horn at all hours of the morning.
Have you ever tried to call the police on him?
Well, by the time they get there, he's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, they've never caught him actually doing anything.
Okay.
He knows not to get caught, but I need a restraining order. That's the only thing that's really going to, I think, keep him away from me.
Okay.
And he found
well,
out
I don't do restraining orders in this court. You can go to another court and definitely request a restraining order. And I believe that's something you can do at your local police department too.
Okay, well, thank you. I didn't know that.
Yes, ma'am. That is definitely that. Now, I can, if you qualify, obviously, for an increase in spousal maintenance, that is something that I can entertain. So let's talk about that. You said you believe $100, an extra $100 a week is fair.
Yes.
Why do you believe that's fair?
Well, like I said, my wages have went down. I'm only working part-time now. We're doing layoffs and things like that, so...
you said your wages?
Yeah, my wages.
Okay.
Are going down, and his are going up because he still gets those 2 raises every year. He's been with that company forever. And he makes good money. I don't make half of what he's making. And it's been really tough.
Yeah, but you've been divorced for 2 years now. That's not your husband anymore. Why the hell would it make sense for him to start giving you more money just because you started making less income? That is completely on you there. Not gonna lie, I'm a little confused as to how this woman thought this would be a convincing case. So much so that she decided to actually bring it into the courtroom, and we're talking about $100 extra per week. Here you can make that in literally 1 shift, working a near minimum wage job. How about doing that instead of going to a court trying to leech off your ex-husband of 2 years? So far, this is so much of a joke that the ex-husband didn't even show up, which that alone speaks volumes. And lastly, if this woman is getting harassed, this isn't really the place to go. I'd probably contact the police station instead of the support court. But yeah, for someone who seems to really despise and hate her ex-husband so much that you want to get a restraining order against him, she seems to still be madly in love with that wallet.
I think I deserve that extra $100 a week, and he can certainly afford it.
What does he do for a living?
He's a CEO for an oil company.
Okay.
Makes really good money, bonuses and all that stuff. I mean, he's just raking it in.
How much is your spousal maintenance right now?
The spousal maintenance, it's about $325 a week maybe.
Okay. What type of expenses do you have?
Well, I have rent. I'm still making the payments on the house. And then, I got food. My car's paid off, but, gasoline's expensive, the upkeep of the car, things like that, electric bills, water, everything like that. Not to mention entertainment. I mean, can't expect me to sit around the house and watch TV all the time. I mean, I go out from time to time, that takes money.
Now, when you all were divorced 2 years ago, outside of spousal maintenance, were you awarded the home?
Yes, I was awarded the home. And he fought me on that, but I won it.
Okay. So you were awarded the home. You don't have a lot of payments left on it.
No.
So I guess I'm confused as to why you're here, because you haven't said anything that will warrant an increase in your maintenance.
Well, I went down on hours from work. I mean, that's a financial burden.
Well, so you went down on hours.
My boss did. I didn't do it. My boss made me take less hours.
Again, what exactly does that have to do with getting more money from your ex-husband? If you get divorced, then you suddenly start making less cash for whatever reason. That's a you issue. Get a second job, start saving more money, spend less money. But don't go to court trying to get $100 a week extra. This is parasitic, bum, deadbeat behavior. The entitlement is off the charts here. And keep in mind, these two apparently have been divorced for 2 years now. 2 years is a pretty decent amount of time. I would think that a solid 2 years is more than enough time to sort yourself out and organize your life and finances in a way to be financially independent, instead of setting up court cases. If I had to decide, I'm not sure spousal support should even be a thing past 1 year, and that's pushing it. This entire case is so ridiculous that it's almost comedic at this point.
But nothing has really changed with a lot of your expenses. You said you don't have a car note. You have a little bit left on your home to pay off. Sounds like you're mainly paying utilities and then a mortgage.
And the insurance for the car, I mean, the insurance is always expensive. Gasoline prices always going up.
Right, but you had those expenses at the time that you were divorced, correct?
Yes.
When you all were divorced, did he have a 401k in existence? And this is Texas, which is a community property state, so I'm assuming you at least got 50% of that.
Yes, I did, but
yes,
I don't think
no,
that
ma'am.
should be taken into consideration.
No, ma'am. It was taken into consideration the first time you received spousal maintenance. You can't have me take it into consideration again. That's not fair, and it's definitely not the law.
You know, my age, I'm not going to find much now. I have to stay where I'm at. I feel like I'm trapped in this life.
And Ms. Ellison, I feel like you came here to waste my time because I cannot give you an increase in spousal maintenance just because you're asking for it. No, ma'am.
25?
Even $5. The answer is no. So is there anything else that you needed from me here today? Because I cannot grant you spousal maintenance just because he's made an increase from his wages.
Well,
if that were the standard, then everyone would come in court asking for an increase.
Well, people need increases. I mean,
well,
women living on their own, I mean, that's hard.
Let me ask you this question. When you all were divorced and you received half of his 401k, how much was that?
It was a nice piece.
Okay, what's a nice piece? Give me a number.
About $250,000.
Okay, well, you know what? If there's nothing further, your case is dismissed and so are you. Thank you.
Now, this is a curveball I don't think anybody saw coming. Let me get this straight. Not only did this person get the house, get her car paid off, is getting weekly spousal support, but also $250K on top of that. The audacity you got to have to show your face in court for spousal support, after getting $250K, I could have pretty much been this lady's retirement money. And the thing that confuses me the most is that she makes it sound like she's struggling financially. You know, she's still paying off the house, the car insurance and whatnot. So my question is, where did the $250K go? Did it just vanish overnight? Is it spent? Because if that's the case, this woman somehow found a way to blow $250K in a matter of 2 years. I guess maybe she spent it on weekly trips to the hair salon, went on a coke binge perhaps. I don't know. What I do know is that this is one of the biggest jokes I've ever seen on this show so far. I'm speechless, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. Next, we head to Jefferson County Courthouse in Kentucky for a case that shows just how emotionally difficult it can be for a prosecutor working on a horrific crime.
Okay, good morning. We're on the record. This is a matter of Akimbo versus Mollie Shouse.
This is the arraignment of Mollie Shouse.
Ms. Shouse, you have a charge of murder, second-degree possession of a controlled substance, and possession of marijuana.
Shouse has been charged with murder after allegedly leaving her 2-year-old son to die in a hot car while she was passed out inside her home, high on Xanax and marijuana. The tragic year-long case is wrought with emotion. At times, Shouse broke down in tears during the trial, causing delays in the proceedings.
There's no doubt in my mind that your emotions are genuine. Nonetheless, it is necessary for us to get through this trial without interruption.
Eventually, the trial was completed, and it took just 2 hours for the jury to find Shouse guilty of murder. But before Judge Olu Stevens delivered final sentencing, the emotional burden of the victim impact statement fell on the shoulders of prosecutor Aaron McKenzie.
Kenton Brown cannot give you a victim impact statement. And there is nobody here in this courtroom from his family to give you a victim impact statement. The little boy that sat in his car seat and suffered for hours upon hours while his skin seared against the hot plastic of the buckle between his legs, with his little wet diaper stuck to him in the heat. There's nobody here to speak for Kenton today. So I don't just speak on behalf of this community, Your Honor. I speak for the victim. I speak for the life that was lost.
Now Judge Stevens will have to determine her sentence.
Ms. Shouse, you chose the drugs over the life of your child. And so the court will sentence you today.
Judge Stevens agrees with the jury's recommended sentence of 35 years in prison.
In accordance with the jury verdict, murder will be 28 years. Possession of controlled substance first, 3 years. Criminal abuse, 2 years. Wanton endangerment first, 2 years. Each will run consecutive to the other. The total sentence is 35 years.
But the story didn't end there. In a stunning turn of events, Shouse's conviction and sentence were thrown out by the Kentucky Supreme Court. The High Court found the prosecutors were not allowed under state law to prosecute Shouse on a particular type of murder. In 2000, state lawmakers created a new type of second-degree manslaughter to apply when young children die after being left in vehicles. As a result, Shouse pled guilty to that lesser charge. Instead of serving the maximum 35-year sentence she was initially given, Shouse was released after serving just 3. Next, we go to San Antonio, Texas for a plea hearing. 32-year-old April Zuniga has been charged with burglary of a habitation, which is a felony. 4 months earlier, according to police reports, Zuniga and her boyfriend allegedly entered a neighbor's home and stole a PlayStation console and other items. The incident was captured by a doorbell camera. Zuniga, a mother of 3, was already on probation for DWI. This most recent offense is a violation of that probation. Today, she's in court to plead guilty in the hope of avoiding jail time. The presiding judge is Stephanie Boyd.
State of Texas versus April Zuniga. And are you Ms. Zuniga?
Yes, ma'am.
Zuniga is appearing remotely, but seems to be having some technical issues. The judge continues with the hearing, asking prosecutor Brittany Sparks to list the new charge.
The defendant, April Zuniga, committed the offense of burglary of a habitation in violation of condition number 1.
How do you plead to that, true or not true?
True.
By pleading guilty to violating her probation, Zuniga now faces a possible sentence of up to 6 years. But the state is recommending continued probation. Judge Boyd agrees and moves on to the burglary charge.
Next, we're going to proceed in clause number 2022, CR3449W. Counsel, I'm showing you the discovery acknowledgement. Have you received all the discovery in this case? Did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Ms. Zuniga?
It sounds like the defendant has become preoccupied with other business.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you not able to find a place other than a commercial restroom?
Okay, I just came out of there. Sorry. Because I was right here at my son's school for the pickup.
So no, is there some other place other than a restroom? We don't want to hear toilets flushing.
Oh, no. No, I mean, no, yeah, I already came out of there. It's just because I was in my son's school, picking them up. So I'm not in the restroom.
So did you just leave the restroom?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
The judge returns to the business at hand, but background noise is still an issue.
Did you review the document entitled Information with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, yes, I did. It's just, it was because, yes.
Okay,
yes,
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still at school?
Do you want me to step out the school?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, I'm out to school.
All right.
Now Zuniga just has to officially enter her plea for the burglary charge.
Then, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
All right, after reviewing, see, Ms. Zuniga, you are not out of the restroom. You are still in the restroom.
I know, I have to come back inside.
In total, Zuniga was sentenced to 4 years probation plus drug and alcohol testing, and she must serve 120 hours of community service. Next, we're in Ann Arbor, Michigan for a post-sentencing hearing. 37-year-old Shannon Phillips has not been making payments on the court-ordered restitution and court fees that were part of her sentence. 5.5 years earlier, Phillips got into a physical altercation with store owner Tyrone Curry about how much change he owed her from a lottery ticket purchase. Tyrone told police that Phillips went behind the counter and threw merchandise around the store. He also told them she had a gun in her pants and had threatened to shoot up the store. Phillips was arrested and charged with carrying a concealed weapon and malicious destruction of property. During a bench trial, she was found guilty of both charges by a judge. She was sentenced to 6 months in jail, followed by 3 years probation. She was also ordered to pay $4,300 in restitution to Tyrone for the damaged property. Phillips made regular payments for 3 years, but has fallen behind in the last year. She's paid less than half the amount she owes to the victim. Today, Phillips is before Judge Patrick Conlon to address the outstanding payments.
Let's see if we can resolve this. Is Shannon Phillips or anyone representing her in court today? Ms. Phillips, are you there? Are you Shannon Phillips, who's identified as UCC 1-308, all rights reserved?
This is Shannon Phillips. She's chosen to log into the hearing as UCC 1-308, all rights reserved, and is not answering when the judge calls her name.
Okay, well, there's no response to the court's inquiry. It's 4:30 p.m. on July 13th.
We hear you now. Are you Ms. Phillips?
UCC 1-308, all rights reserved. I am here on a special visitation of the all caps name.
While Phillips has not identified herself as such, she appears to be employing tactics and reciting language from the playbook of sovereign citizens, many of whom believe that adding certain codes and all rights reserved to their names will protect them from prosecution.
Okay. Seeing no response to my request, it's 4:30 p.m. The matter was scheduled for 1:30 p.m. Agent Miller, I will sign a bench warrant upon your submission. Failure to appear.
The judge is refusing to acknowledge Phillips until she identifies herself by her legal name.
My name is capital S, lowercase h, lowercase a, lowercase n, lowercase n, lowercase o, lowercase n.
Okay. Are you Shannon Phillips?
I am Shannon.
Judge Conlon is done playing the name game, so he wraps things up.
Okay. I'll sign the bench warrant when you issue it, Agent Miller. Feel free to send that up to my office.
I asked for it to be dismissed with prejudice. How y'all gonna sign the bench warrant and I'm sitting right here? I told y'all what my name was.
Phillips may be present, but the judge takes her refusal to properly identify herself as a failure to appear. Phillips continues talking as the court moves on to the next case.
Number 56, People versus Tyree Pitts, 21535 FH.
They mad.
Honor, I'm trying to assistant prosecutor on behalf of the people.
I do not consent.
Reside.
I do not consent.
And have no contact with his.
Phillips dropped out of the hearing, and a bench warrant was issued for her 9 days later. It remains outstanding. Her non-payment hearing has been rescheduled. Next, we're in Williamsburg, Kentucky for a bond revocation hearing. The defendant walking up to the podium is 42-year-old Shannon Fox-Hamelin. Today, she's in court for allegedly violating conditions of her probation. Once at the microphone, she lets Judge Paul Winchester know she's being represented by a well-known name, maybe best known for his pro bono work.
And who's representing you today?
I'm represented by Jesus Christ.
That's right. Now a savior he may be. But one thing he not is a licensed member of the Kentucky State Bar. So the judge offers up the services of the public defender's office instead.
All right, so I'm going to appoint Mr. Findale
No,
to represent
I don't
you
want
today.
Mr. Findale. I have that right, Your Honor, and Jesus is going to represent through me. I do not want legal counsel.
Okay, all right, so what do you want to say?
I want to say that I have lived hard, loved hard, played hard, but I've been saved and applied the blood. I'm pardoned through Jesus Christ, okay? I have stumbled and I have failed many times, and mercy's reigned from that bench. Not because I deserved it, but because I'm sure somebody prayed. Okay, I wanted to taste salvation and play over here too. I was riding the fence between me and you. God gave me a choice, and it's life or death, I kid you not. Do I look like the person that stood before you in August? Do I? I'm humble. I'm in a walk of shame.
But alas, Judge Winchester has had enough of the courtroom sermon.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Allegation is you failed to report to probation and parole.
Okay, sir. I have nothing in this world.
All I need is an answer.
No.
Did you go? Okay.
I went to probation, yes, I did. But the next 2 times I didn't have no right.
In addition to not reporting to her probation officer as scheduled, Fox-Hamelin has another violation.
On December the 9th, 2016, you were given a drug test and you were positive for methamphetamine, and that was confirmed by a lab.
Saved by the blood.
Okay. Yes or no? Do you acknowledge that?
I acknowledge I'm saved by the blood.
Saved by the blood or exposed by the blood test?
I don't use drugs, Your Honor. I do not use it.
You've already told me that, but back on December of 2016.
His paper says so, but I will not admit it. He said I could...
Are you denying the allegations in this motion?
Yes.
Fox-Hamelin's probation officer is then called on to offer testimony.
Back in December, did she test positive for drug use? She didn't.
He's not telling the whole truth, Your Honor.
Okay.
You expect me to, he needs to too.
Hey, let me tell you something now. You can ask him a question.
Okay, have I
Can't
not
preach
been in
to it.
contact? When you called me and said the drug test came back methamphetamine, tell the truth, Shannon. What did I say?
I did not call you.
Brian Diggs, you are a liar in the court of Winsburg. I promise you, Jesus is watching.
Okay, let me tell you something. I have to go by what the test says.
He is lying,
And
sir.
The
His
test
test wasn't right.
What I'm telling you is, I have to go by what the lab says.
Can I make
Doesn't have anything to do with what he said.
Between me and you,
Okay.
prison is to reform me, right? To make me a good person for
Well,
society. Is
that
that
and to
correct?
keep you from breaking the law.
Okay. Well, do you believe that the blood applied by Jesus Christ can do more reform for me than Pee Wee Valley? Do you believe it can happen in 1 day, 1 minute, or 1 hour?
Well-
Sir, I'm sentenced to death. I'm going to die.
But as the defendant continues to argue, the judge asks the bailiff to escort her out and revokes her bond.
Mr. Engel, can you take her for me, please? Motion is sustained.
Sir, I have the right to speak, okay?
And you have the right to speak.
I'm going to speak, please. No, I'm going to speak to
now.
this judge. No, I'm going to speak to you right now. My life is at stake. I'll die in prison.
Come on,
I have a right to. I won't go. You'll shoot me.
As it becomes more apparent that she is not going quietly,
You stand out and have no, I won't go, sir. No, I won't.
another court official enters to help remove her.
No, I won't go. You'll stand out. No. Mr. Winchester, I won't go. No. I won't go. You understand? You'll shoot me before I go. I won't go.
You need to go. You don't
No,
have to
I'm
do
not.
that to you, okay?
You understand? I won't.
You go.
You see truth and you're denying it. No. Mr. Winchester, please. I want my family back. I've changed. No, they take Jesus like he's in a hanging on the house.
As the struggle spills into the hallway, Fox-Hamelin continues to resist, reportedly kicking one of the bailiffs and causing an injury to his hand. On top of having her bond revoked, Shannon Fox-Hamelin was charged with contempt of court, second-degree assault, resisting arrest, and second-degree disorderly conduct. She was sentenced to 8 years in a Kentucky prison. Next, we head to Dallas, Texas for a civil hearing. 33-year-old Amanda Stiles and her ex-husband, Ryan Parnell, are in a child custody dispute. Parnell's attorney, Lacey Kimball, has filed several motions with the court, which include a request that Stiles take a drug test. Today, both parties appear remotely before Judge Drew Ten Isuk to review the motions. Stiles appears without an attorney.
Good morning. How are y'all? Morning, how are you?
Morning.
Go ahead, Ms. Kimball.
A custody evaluation was completed, and so we have filed a motion for drug screening and a motion for psychological exam based upon that custody evaluation recommendations.
Blah, 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 blah.
Stop talking.
Things get off to a rocky start.
You'll be able to respond in just a second. Ms. Kimball, you can go ahead and finish, and then Ms. Stiles, you'll have an opportunity to respond in just a minute.
The judge remains calm as Kimball continues.
We also had sent discovery out, as laid out in our motion sometime back. We ultimately never got a response.
He got responses. Objection.
Hold on, wait a second. Ms. Stiles, you just need to object and then let me know what your objection is. Don't yell at her.
Objection to hearsay.
Hold on.
Judge Tenike presses the mute button on Stiles, allowing Kimball to speak without interruption.
And then we have an order to compel Ms. Stiles to provide dates for a deposition.
All right, so Ms. Stiles, I'm sending you a prompt to unmute. If you just unmute yourself, you can respond.
Despite her disruptive behavior, the judge moves forward, attempting to get Stiles' responses to the 4 motions in question.
Do you have an objection to taking a drug test?
I use marijuana daily. All day, every day.
Okay.
So I'm glad to take the drug test.
Stop.
Okay, go. It's going to be on his expense, but
Stop. I'm pretty low key. We're in court. You need to be respectful. Just say Judge Tenike. Okay, it's pretty easy. So you use marijuana all day, every day?
Not really all day, every day, but I use it daily, if that helps you with your interpretations. Mr. Low-Key Honorable Judge Tenike.
I'm not interpreting. I just said what you said.
Okay.
What is your response to the request for a psychological evaluation?
I'm not doing it, and you cannot force me to do it. You cannot physically make me go and show up and partake in anything that I do not want to partake in. Yes or no? Do you agree or not agree?
You don't get to ask me questions right now. What's your response to their motion to compel?
Have you read their discovery?
Ma'am, you need to answer my question.
I answered your question.
All right.
By now, even this low-key judge seems to be losing patience.
So I'm going to warn you that it is completely inappropriate to swear like that in court.
Stiles then pushes her camera away.
You need to take yourself, you need to put yourself back on camera. I'm gonna sanction you $100 for every time that you swear in court, because that's not appropriate. You just need to not do it.
Judge Tenike tries to get back on track.
In terms of the deposition dates, what's your response to that?
What dates?
Ms. Kimball, do you have proposed dates?
And whose expense? Mine? Because if it's mine, I'm not doing it. Sanction, give me $100 fee. Woo woo.
So I am finding you in direct contempt.
Okay, one fine.
Finding you $100.
Okay, make it 2. Damn. I said 2 words.
Ma'am, I don't think you want to do this. I will, as I said, sanction you.
Please do.
Before ending the hearing, the judge tries to get a deposition date on the books.
Which of those dates works better for you, Ms. Stiles?
What time? Dumb. 3 contempts.
Correct, that is 3.
Supposed to start at 9 a.m.
What date?
That question is to you. Never mind.
I said what time? Time, date? You know, these things.
I'm not gonna let you look. You don't get to do this for your own pocketbook. I'm muting you for. All right, I'm going to count that as another violation.
Stiles was held in contempt and ordered to pay $400 in fines. As for the child custody case, Stiles later relinquished her rights to the child, including any visitation rights, and the father, Ryan Parnell, has full custody.
That's 200 days. You got anything else to say, Ms. Burks? No. That's 300 days.
Next, we go to a bond hearing in Elyria, Ohio. Appearing remotely is the defendant, Ebony Burks. She's charged with misdemeanor assault and domestic violence against her grandfather, Shedrick McRae, and his companion. At the bench is Judge Gary Bennett.
Good morning, Ms. Burks.
Good morning.
After reading the charges, the judge asked Burks how she'd like to plea.
You have 3 pleas available to you today. Guilty, not guilty, no contest. What plea would you enter?
I'm not guilty.
So far, so good. The judge sets bond for the 2 charges at $15,000. His only condition is that Burks not be in contact with the victims, which could be difficult since she shares a home with McRae.
No contact means you can't call him, you can't write him, you can't text him, you can't email him, can't leave a message on some social media, you can't go visit him. If you go someplace, even though you may have arrived first and one of them shows up, you have to leave.
So you gonna tell me I can't go home?
I'm telling you, you can't go home. If you live with Mr. McRae, you cannot return to that residence.
Oh, but how you just gonna tell me I can't go home though?
What?
How you gonna tell me I can't go to my home?
I just did.
Typically, right about now, a lawyer or even a judge might try to de-escalate the situation. But it's clear this is not a typical bond hearing.
How you gonna tell me I can't go to my home?
I just did.
Well, I bet I do.
Well, then you're in contempt, young lady, and you got 30 days. So you're not going. You're not what?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Get back! Get back! Get back! That's another 30 days. That's 60 days.
So what?
90 days.
So?
120 days.
Okay, and?
180 days.
Oh! Get off me! Get your hands off me, man!
It looks like Burks may be finished.
What else you got to say?
Hold on, she's coming back.
Nothing. We'll talk in 6 months when you're ready to come back for your case.
I ain't got money.
That's 200 days. You got anything else to say, Miss Burks? That's 300 days.
Though she racked up 300 days, Burks only ended up serving 88. According to Judge Bennett, it was the longest sentence he's ever imposed for contempt of court. As for her assault and domestic violence charges, they were suspended. But she was forced to enter a substance abuse program.
Sorry, Your Honor. Not as sorry as she's gonna be.
This is Taylor Schabusiness. She appeared before a judge for a competency hearing to assess whether she could understand the court proceedings and assist in her defense. In February of 2022, 25-year-old Taylor Schabusiness was involved in a case that seemed ripped from a horror novel. Taylor and her lover, 24-year-old Shad Therian, were together one night when their usual routine took a dark turn. After smoking meth, Taylor, in a fit of drug-induced rage, strangled Shad to death with a chain in the basement of his mother's house. However, the horror did not end there. In the hours that followed, authorities claimed that Taylor Schabusiness sexually abused Shad's lifeless body before proceeding to dismember him. Panicked and in shock, Schabusiness immediately contacted the authorities. Schabusiness was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. During the competency hearing, Judge Thomas Walsh presided, while attorney Quinn Jolly represented Schabusiness. An expert hired by the defense was expected to testify in the coming days, but Jolly stated that the doctor needed more time to complete his report.
Our doctor is requesting 2 additional weeks to finish preparation and evaluation of report.
Judge Walsh granted the motion, pushing back the start date of the trial to allow for a comprehensive assessment.
During the trial, and we're looking at the week of May 15th of the trial.
And in that moment, Schabusiness jumped out of her chair and lunged at her attorney in a fit of uncontrolled anger. Watch it from this angle. The court officers sprang into action and restrained her. The deputies were able to remove her and place her in a holding cell. Once order was restored and the hearing reconvened, Jolly, who had remarkably sustained no injuries during the attack, requested to withdraw as Schabusiness's attorney.
At this point, I'm going to put a motion in the withdrawal from this matter.
Judge Walsh granted Jolly's motion to withdraw, and Schabusiness was assigned a new attorney from the State Public Defender Office. Notably, she faced no additional charges for the attack on Jolly. Taylor Schabusiness was sentenced to life in prison without parole for killing and dismembering her boyfriend. This is Mitchell Blair. She is about to receive the ultimate punishment at Wayne County Circuit Court. The 35-year-old Michelle Blair is facing charges of first-degree murder for the death of her daughter and felony murder for the death of her son. In 2015, an ordinary day in Detroit's Martin Park neighborhood turned into a nightmare. On a routine March morning, bailiffs arrived at Michelle Blair's townhouse for an eviction and made a shocking discovery: As they removed the furniture, a strong smell hinted at something sinister. Their search led them to a white freezer in the corner of the room. Opening it, they found the frozen remains of a child wrapped in a blanket. Further inspection revealed another child's body, similarly hidden. The victims were later identified as Blair's children, 13-year-old Stoney Blair and her 9-year-old brother, Stephen Barry. Mitchell Blair was arrested and taken to court. Throughout the hearings, Blair showed no remorse and boldly admitted to killing her children before the judge.
I intentionally killed her. I don't feel no remorse for the death of them demons.
Keep in mind, these were her kids she was talking about.
Why did you take the decision to pile the bodies on top of each other in a freezer?
What do you mean?
Why did you do that?
Well, I only had one deep freezer. I mean, take the decision to pile the bodies on top of each other. Where was she gonna go?
How did you conceivably sleep at night?
I slept well.
And you feel no remorse for that?
I would kill him again.
Throughout the trial, Blair maintained that she killed her children, Stephen and Stoney, after discovering they were sexually assaulting her youngest son. However, no evidence was ever found to support her accusations. During Blair's sentencing, Judge Dana Hathaway had a few words to say before passing her judgment.
It's the greatest tragedy here is that they will never know what a life is like without experiencing fearing their life. They will never know the joy of what could have been in their life without having you in it. They lived in terrible fear of you. And I find that just so sad in this case.
With that, the judge handed down her sentence.
After all is said and done, you imposed the death penalty on your own children.
I did.
And you readily admit it, and you want to take responsibility of it. You're therefore sentenced to the Michigan Department of Corrections for the rest of your life without the possibility of parole, meaning, of course, that you will never get out.
While the sentence was being handed down, Mitchell Blair's face was stoic, showing absolutely no remorse. Mitchell Blair is currently in prison, where she will remain for the rest of her life.
Can you talk me through the type of abuse that you had to suffer as a kid?
You mean sexual abuse?
If that's what happened.
That definitely did happen to me. That's why I know exactly how would have grew up. I told my mother what happened to me. And the only thing she said was, it's over with, so what the you want me to do about it? What do you mean what I want you to do? You get what I'm saying? So all I could do is go back and sit in my room and just sit there and look stupid. I'm a kid. And I'm just telling you what happened to me. You didn't do about it. And plus I still had to see the person coming in and out my house. You still friends with that person.
So do you believe that the violent person you went on to become you were a product of your own childhood?
I mean, everybody have choices, so I can't just blame all that on my mom because I was still an adult. Maybe I should have tried hard to get over that. But anybody who knows me, that touching the kids, the molesting, that no. If that's one thing I definitely would have killed over, it would have always been that.
This is Melissa Hardwick, a Kentucky woman who faced new charges after attacking Judge Jennifer Edwards in family court. The incident occurred during a hearing for a domestic violence complaint filed by her estranged husband.
My personal life is your business.
Hardwick interrupted repeatedly, and after being warned, was sentenced to 10 days in jail for contempt of court.
Miss Hardwick,
no.
You will be held in contempt of this court if you become disruptive.
I haven't done anything to this court. I haven't done anything to him.
She will be arrested for contempt of court.
It doesn't make any difference.
You will serve 10 days for contempt of court.
In a sudden outburst, she lunged at the judge, prompting 3 security officers to strain her.
Go now.
Deputy Dodson, with the swift reflexes born of his training, intercepts Melissa before she can reach the judge. The struggle is brief, but intense, with Melissa flailing and shouting, demanding to be let go.
Wait and see. You'll be saying what happened, Jennifer.
The judge, meanwhile, tries to regain her composure, though the shock of the near assault is evident in her eyes. The deputy's intervention brings Melissa to the ground, as she erratically continues to reach for the judge. Once they were able to get Melissa out of the court, you could see the adrenaline in the judge's body, as she was visibly shaking and fumbled with her paper for a while. She soon regained her composure and declared that she was going to be charged for the threats she made openly in court, but it would be in the hands of a new judge.
A new judge will have to be appointed to represent because she
will be charged criminally for the threats that were made in open court today.
Although Judge Edwards was unharmed, Hardwick sustained facial scratches and now faces additional charges, including third-degree terroristic threatening, intimidating a participant in the legal process, and resisting arrest. Her bond was set at $25,000. Despite the chaos, Judge Edwards ruled that the domestic violence order filed by Hardwick's husband would remain in effect. This is Penelope Soto. She stands before Judge Rodriguez Comat at Miami-Dade Circuit Court. Penelope Soto was arrested for possession of Xanax, a prescription anti-anxiety drug that's often abused for recreational highs. Standing in court in an orange jumpsuit, Soto stated she earned $200 a week and her assets included jewelry and a car. When asked about the value of her jewelry, she laughed and said a lot.
It's not a joke, you know. We are not in a club now.
Okay, but if you know,
Well, you see,
we
are not in a club. Be serious about it.
I'm serious about it.
You're
You
being
just
very.
made me
I can
laugh.
see you're serious, all right.
Judge Rodriguez Comat noticed her lack of seriousness.
It's all right. How much is your jewelry worth?
It's worth a lot of money.
The judge then inquired if she had taken any drugs in the past 24 hours, which she denied. Throughout the exchange, Soto's demeanor shifted from boredom to amusement. As she continuously moved and flicked her hair, Judge Rodriguez Comat set her bond at $5,000 and dismissed her, with her bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Soto, still amused, sarcastically responded with adios as she walked away.
Adios.
After a brief pause, Judge Rodriguez Comat called Soto back, retrieved the papers, and reset her bond at $10,000.
Give me the paper again. Count one would be 10,000.
Are you serious?
I am serious. Adios.
A shocked Soto asked, "Are you serious?" As she turned away, she gave the judge the finger and said. As she turned to leave again, Soto flipped the judge the bird and said. This blatant disrespect led to an immediate response from Judge Rodriguez Comat. He called her back once more and sentenced her to 30 days in jail for contempt of court.
I believe I heard you saying to.
Yes, I did. I'm not going to the.
I believe you. Did you say?
Actually,
Did you say that?
Yes, sir. I did.
Oh, you did say that?
I'm not
I find you in direct criminal contempt. 30 days in the county jail.
Realizing the seriousness of her actions, Soto later returned to court to apologize to Judge Rodriguez Comat. She expressed remorse for her behavior, acknowledging that her actions were inappropriate and disrespectful.
Don't cry. Just don't. Don't cry. I'm not a monster.
And I apologize.
The judge accepted her apology. Her charges were later dropped, and she did not spend up to a week in jail. This is Camille Gamut, who is charged with the murder of her boyfriend in Jackson, Mississippi. Reportedly, the attack happened during an argument between the two individuals and ended with a boyfriend being violently stabbed to death. Gamut was arrested on first-degree murder charges. Throughout the trial, Gamut claimed she acted in self-defense and showed no remorse, even when the victim's family members addressed the court during the sentencing hearing.
Still remember the cries of help that he screamed as you plunged that knife in and out of his body.
We have no choice but to send her where she will also die. I can't believe she stands before you doing this.
While the victim's family members spoke, Gamut rolled her eyes, smirked, and mouthed words. However, Judge John McBain would not tolerate her behavior.
And you're gonna shut your mouth or I'm gonna have some duct tape put on it.
But that didn't end it. Camille Gamut's nonchalant attitude only escalated as she addressed the court.
The way I was portrayed, mostly everything was lies. There was a little bit of truth, but mostly I was convicted off of lies.
With Gamut showing no remorse, the judge had some final words.
You stab, you stab, you stab, you stab until he was dead. I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
In the end, Gamut was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
This is clearly the most shocking news we've ever gotten in this courtroom.
For 20 years, this Karen told this man he was the father of her son.
You say you have proof that Mr. Manser is Dylan's father to finally stop him running from his responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Elizabeth Sear of Southwest Missouri. She told Bill Manser he was the father to her child.
I didn't find out anything about the child until I was served with papers in 1995.
Neither Manser nor Sear disputes that in Southwest Missouri in 1992, they had some kind of sexual relationship.
But as far as intimacy, we was together one time, and I hate to be crude, but it was a one-night stand.
I don't care what your version was. I was far from a one-night stand.
Living across the street from each other?
Far from a one-night stand.
Regardless, she gave birth to a son, Dylan, in January 1993. A couple years later, Sarah ordered a paternity test. The test concluded that there was a 99.6% probability that Manser had fathered the boy. Manser moved to Lake County, Florida, and he was named the father because he missed a court date.
And so you showed up for court, and what
happened?
happened?
I wasn't able to show up for court. I was completely on the other side of the state. I was indigent. I was living at my mom's, didn't have a job at the time. So I didn't show up for court, and I was named the natural father by default.
And then what happened?
He ended up paying more than $30,000 in child support to Sarah and spent 5 years in prison after failing to pay on time.
And then when I went to prison for 5 years. When I got out of prison in 2003, I paid child support from that day until just February of last year when I lost my job.
Only because they garnished your wages.
Absolutely, that's what they do. And I actually asked my public defender, where's the proof? I've yet to see proof that the child's mine. He said that they obtained my DNA through a sample that was already on file. That's what she's claimed this whole time.
For a daughter you didn't raise too.
So, that's right. I'm not here to win any Father of the Year awards, believe me.
You wouldn't get it.
So, but I'm here to say that, you know, in today's society, I think it's cruel and unusual punishment to be sentenced to 5 years in prison with rapists and murderers and child molesters for missing a court date. Because that's basically what happened. I missed a court date.
You missed being a father.
Sarah herself had good reason to believe the narrative. A paternity test she'd ordered from a lab concluded with near certainty that Manser was her baby daddy.
We do, however, see a lab record of a collection taken on May the 1st, 1995, which they claim was you. Ms. Sear, I see the laboratory results of the testing with a probability of paternity of 99.67%.
But he was never totally convinced Dylan was his son.
Do you know, man, that he said 99.67 means he still might not be the father when he heard that number?
On August 12th, 2013, Manser, Elizabeth Sear, and her 20-year-old son, Dylan, submitted to new DNA tests at a California lab frequently used by the paternity court show. They appeared on the show on August 29th and got a rather different result.
I think it's time for the results.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Jerome, lab, because of the sensitivity of this issue, ran 2 tests. The results are as follows. In the case of Manser versus Sear, as it pertains to 20-year-old Dylan Sear, Mr. Manser, you are not his father.
Oh, man. 5 years in prison.
This is clearly the most shocking news we've ever gotten in this courtroom.
But the most shocking moment is yet to come. Listen to what this Karen is about to say.
Do you want to find out who your father is?
Of course.
Miss Sear, you know who his father is.
Yes, I talk to him still. Yes, I talk to him still.
You cannot stand there and really suggest that you cannot comprehend why this man would not have any type of ill feeling, frustration, or regret as it relates to anything involving you. 5 years in prison. And then I say, do you know who your son's father is? And you say, yes, I'm still in touch with him. That is a really huge pill to swallow.
A court case near Detroit sounds like a romantic comedy gone wrong.
Yeah, a woman sues a man for thousands of dollars after he stood her up on a date.
This is Kashante Short. She sued a man for standing her up.
She's suing a guy for $10,000 for standing her up on a date.
I never knew that it was even an offense. But on September 10, 2020, Kashante Short filed a $10,000 lawsuit in Michigan's 67th District Court of Genesee County against a man who didn't show up for their date. She claimed that the no-show caused her emotional distress because the date coincided with her late mother's birthday. During a 9-minute virtual court hearing via Zoom, Judge Herman Marable Jr. informed Short that she had filed the lawsuit in the wrong court and that it should have been filed in circuit court. The judge then asked the defendant if he would be representing himself. The defendant expressed surprise at the lawsuit.
To be honest with you, sir, I thought this was just going to be thrown out. We had a date, one date, and nothing else after that. And now I'm being sued for $10,000. I don't really see how this is going to go any further. I think it's a waste of your time.
Judge Marable explained that if the defendant believed the case should be dismissed, he needed to file a motion to dismiss it. Short then interrupted, accusing the defendant of lying and claiming her documents would prove it. The judge attempted to explain the concept of perjury to her, which led to a heated exchange.
If he responds and his response is a lie, it's perjury, then my documents will prove that he lied and his response.
No. It's a false statement made on
Are we done here? Are we done here?
I
Please
said
do not
no.
insult my intelligence.
I said no.
Do not do that. Do not do that.
As the argument escalated, the judge removed his face shield and repeatedly instructed Short to be quiet. The video showed the defendant visibly distressed, holding his head in his hands.
You need to be quiet while I'm talking. You need to be quiet. Can you mute her, please?
I feel for the defendant. I mean, you know, like I said, he should have swiped left.
Short insisted that the case be sent to circuit court, and Judge Marable eventually muted the Zoom call and transferred the suit to the 7th Circuit Court.
The bottom line is you don't have to show up on a date, and it's not a cause of action under the law. It's not an intentional infliction of emotional distress, just to be legal about it, because it's kind of a funny case, except if you look at the expression on the poor guy's face when her and the judge are going at it, he's like, oh my God, get me out of here. You can just see it. But you have to be such outrageous and wanton conduct that no reasonable person could possibly expect that you would do this. And if we were going to criminalize that or civil liabilityize that, we'd have thousands and tens of thousands of suits. Bottom line, you have a right not to show up on your date.
According to court records, this was not the first time Short had filed lawsuits that were dismissed. She had filed at least a dozen suits in both district and circuit courts over the past 2 decades. In January 2020, she filed a $300 million suit against the Flint Police Department, which was dismissed. She also filed a lawsuit against AT&T in October 2020 in Wisconsin, which was dismissed after she failed to appear in court.
I think he's going to get some good dates off of his patience in dealing with this. So, you know, maybe he could use a bad moment for some good.
How can you imagine? She's his only son. No face. Can't even kiss him on the forehead. That's something I couldn't wrap my brain around. Because they had to see him on a metal slab.
This is Shaya Hubers. She is convicted of murder for shooting her boyfriend 6 times. Hubers appeared for her verdict hearing in the Campbell County Circuit Court in Newport, Kentucky. She was charged with 1 count of murder after shooting her boyfriend 6 times because he was about to leave her for a Miss USA contestant.
My name is Cicely Miller, and I was housed with Shannon Hughey. I was like, man, girl, what'd you do? What happened? And so she was like, well, I shot my boyfriend. I said, did you kill him? She goes, yeah. She goes, I shot him in the face. I gave him no job he always wanted. She cackled. She was like, and just had this cackle, and it just went right through me.
In 2011, 28-year-old Ryan Poston met Shaya Hubers, a psychology student at the University of Kentucky, through his step-cousin on Facebook. They hit it off and began dating. But their relationship was marked by passionate reunions and tumultuous breakups over 18 months. By October 12, 2012, their relationship reached a breaking point. Ryan, 29-year-old at the time, had plans for a date with Miss Ohio USA 2012, Audrey Bolte, a meeting that would never happen.
I believe Shannon just knew it was over. You know, that this was the last straw. He was done with her, and you're out of here. And she wasn't having that. You don't turn your back and say no to her.
During the trial, Audrey Bolte testified for the prosecution, describing her interactions with Ryan in detail.
For some help on a review of some movies that were going on at the time, and
He had replied to one of them and left a funny, interesting comment.
How did he strike you?
Funny and smart.
Shayna discovered his plans with Audrey through Facebook messages, which ignited a rage of jealousy and desperation in her.
I got up off the floor and I grabbed the gun and I shot him.
Shayna maintained that the incident was an act of self-defense. However, in the courtroom, the prosecution, led by Michelle Snodgrass, argued otherwise. They contended that Shayna's actions on that fateful October night were not self-defense, but the result of a relationship she couldn't bear to see end. They painted a picture of a premeditated act, driven by jealousy and obsession.
So for 3 more times, she raises the gun and fires into Ryan Poston's twitching body until she fired the final shot where she knew it would kill him.
She picked up the gun, in fact.
What would you do if I shot you?
The defense, however, stood firm on the assertion that Shayna was a victim, not a perpetrator. They contended that she had acted in self-defense after enduring an abusive relationship with Ryan.
Degrading her own self-worth. I can't love you. No one can love you. You can't orgasm because you were touched as a child, and no one will ever love you.
Looking back on it, I feel like I was led on. I feel like I was manipulated, used, and abused.
However, the jury was swayed by the prosecution's argument and recommended a severe punishment of 40 years in prison. Hubers' legal team sought a new trial, arguing that evidence supporting her self-defense claim had been unfairly excluded. They also petitioned for her to be recognized as a victim of domestic violence, which could reduce her time served before parole eligibility. Despite these efforts, the jury still handed a guilty verdict.
But I listened to everything that was said in here. I never heard a word or a look that said, I'm sorry to these people back here.
Just once to hear the words, I shouldn't have done that.
As the jury read the verdict, Shayna Hubers broke down in tears.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Shayna Hubers, guilty of murder under instruction number 5.
Hubers was sentenced to 40 years with the possibility of parole after serving 20 years.
It's certainly not justice, because justice in this case can't be given in the courtroom.
I don't believe Shayna has learned her lesson. And if she was to get out on parole, I believe she would find another victim. If it was up to me, Shayna would rot in a cell like this, so Ryan's family can have justice that she would never see the light of day outside of a jail cell.